Picture this, two guys trapped in the South Charleston Public Library. One guy loves movies, the other, well, he'd rather be watching reality TV. Can they survive each other's films? Find out on Real Opposites, a library podcast about movies, hosted by Josh and Aaron from the South Charleston Public Library.
Hey guys, and welcome back to The Real Opposites. I'm Aaron.
I'm Josh.
And this episode, we have our special guest, Jordan.
Hi.
Hi.
And we are going to be reviewing or talking about the movies that Josh picked and Jordan picked. We have Romy and Michelle's High School Reunion and Once Upon a Time in the West. So I think we're going to jump straight into Romy and Michelle. And I guess we'll start. Jordan, tell us why you chose this movie.
Well, I grew up with it a lot. I also love Lisa Kudrow. I knew her from Friends. So I was introduced to it that way. And when I think of like 90s comedy, that's like the first thing I think of. I think it's a perfect 90s comedy. I think it's hilarious. I've seen it so many times and I never get tired of it. I love that movie.
Okay.
It's a fun one to just like throw on.
It is.
Anytime.
Yeah.
Like, I've seen it, I don't know how many times.
Me too.
Starting from when it came out. So I guess me and Jordan both love the movie.
Yeah, it sounds like
This
it.
is your first time
It is.
watching the movie.
Right. Yeah, so I was excited to see this because I do like 90s comedies, and it seemed like something that was up my alley more than most things you pick. But I don't know, is it supposed to be a parody of 90s movies?
No.
It was just a 90s comedy on its own?
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
It's not a parody.
I felt like it was a parody or something. There was something about it that I didn't like. It was because I felt like, you know, they were obviously playing like a dumb person and whatever in a way, you know, like Valley Girl type thing.
Yeah, they're not like...
But I felt like they overplayed that to the fact that I thought it was parodying them. Therefore, I thought the whole movie was a parody, which kind of fit.
I mean, I think their characterizations are very big and broad, but I think there's a sincerity in their performances that makes that grounded. And I mean, it's directed by David Merkin, who was a big Simpsons.
Mm-hmm.
He wrote and directed a lot of Simpsons episodes, and it has that kind of cartoonish quality.
Right.
Maybe that's kind of like what you're feeling.
Yeah, and I think I picked up on that, but that's what I thought is it was like a parody. It was something about it that was like too much that I didn't like. Overall, I enjoyed the movie. I finally laughed at the end. There was a funny part.
You didn't laugh till the end?
I did not laugh much.
Wow.
I did not laugh much at all, which I was surprised by. But I think whatever... I can't even put my finger on exactly what it was that made it seem like such a parody type movie to me. But whatever that was kind of took it away for me. Like it was too big. Or I don't know. And also that not Lisa Kudrow. Yeah. Is that her regular voice?
Not really, no.
Okay, good.
So.
Because that was annoying. Her deep voice in that movie also just like ruined everything she said for me.
That is, nope. Nope, not at all. I love her voice.
I don't know why.
Well, it's such a I think it comes back to the part of like that's cartoony a little bit. Is like her voice is very exaggerated.
Yeah.
Their Valley Girl personas are very big.
I think some of it could be, I love 90s comedy and stuff and like Jawbreaker and other movies like that. But I think this one is a little more, what is the word? Like not eccentric, but their personalities are made to be bigger.
Yeah. I mean,
like we were saying. And I think in other movies they don't do that. And I think that's what caught me off guard or something. I don't know.
I mean, I think it's broad in a very lovable way. So this is like the opposite of something like Tammy.
Mm-hmm.
That one's just...
But I laughed through that.
But that's just tirelessly mean and cruel. And like the humor in that is just her being an a-hole for an hour and a half.
Yeah.
To everyone. And this is like two people that like, they're funny and I root for them and I like them. I want to hang out with Romy and Michelle.
God,
Right.
me too.
And Janine Garofalo,
Oh, yeah.
too.
Oh yeah, I loved her. By the way, I love her anyways. I don't think I've seen her in a lot of things. I know she was in Mystery Men.
Did you ever see Truth About Cats and Dogs?
Huh.
It's a cute little romantic comedy.
I feel like I've seen parts of it.
Her and Uma Thurman.
I don't remember.
It's a good little.
But like the ones I know I've seen is this one and Mystery Men. But there's something about her on-screen presence that I absolutely love.
Oh, I love her. I remembered her more. Watch the movie again, but like between the last time watching this movie, this time I remembered her more than the like two main characters. Basically, is like she's just arresting. Like she does a great job.
Yeah.
Is it about the movie that appeals to you?
Well, unlike him, I kind of like their personalities, that they're like Valley Girls. I think it works really well with the 90s comedy. Also love the design aspect of them designing all their clothes and stuff. I thought that was really cool.
I did really like that.
Yeah,
that was cool.
and the stupid Post-it note thing too. I think that is so unique and so fun. I don't know how you didn't laugh at that.
I did. Towards the end is when I started laughing. Like once
But the
they
beginning's
got to
like the best part, in my opinion.
What happened in the beginning?
The whole movie, like the plot. I don't know what happened in the beginning.
I just meant I thought you were talking about like a specific thing.
Nothing is
Oh,
specific.
Scene, yeah.
Oh, okay. What is it?
Like when they're watching Pretty Woman? You know, like at the beginning of the movie?
Yeah, I did. Okay, so I did like that because they're watching Pretty Woman and they're like, this movie's so dumb. And then they're like tearing up because she finally gets to shop.
know, it's
and
like-
she just, I might have laughed at that. Or I might have
I
said,
like that
"Ah."
because it's like, oh, this is really dumb, but then it can't help but like,
Yeah.
they've
But-
probably seen it 80 times. They're still.
But that's what I mean, that is the thing about this movie is I did like it.
Yeah.
It just, there was something about it that I don't know exactly how to explain that just didn't make me love it. I do think it, because I like the Valley Girl thing. That made sense and all that. It was just like they were extra and it felt too much.
I think
or
they're
something.
supposed to be awkward
Yeah.
because
they
they
were.
weren't like cool girls. They were like
because-
they were like the
Right.
nerds, and they're trying. They're that's what they think is cool, so that's what they're trying to
Yeah.
do.
Yeah.
And so they're supposed to come off a little offbeat, I think.
Right. Yeah, and I mean that's what I'm saying. It was just something small. It didn't ruin the whole movie for me.
Okay.
Luckily, like I like it. I would probably watch it again.
Yeah.
I liked it enough that I would probably watch it again.
Mhm.
I don't know. There was just that little bit that seemed too much, or maybe it was just the type of comedy would just seem too big or something for it at that point for me. I don't know. I have no idea. But like there were sometimes when a punchline would hit that I knew that was the punchline, but everything around it was just felt extra and it didn't hit for me.
I will say there's
That makes
only
sense.
one scene that I don't love, and it's at the end whenever they finally get to the reunion and the whole thing plays out, and then it turns out that none of it ever happened, and then they go back and do the whole thing again.
I love that.
I thought it was kind of funny, but it also felt like it didn't fit in the movie.
I didn't like that part. That's the only part I don't like.
I like it. I did find it kind of funny, but I think it's almost like it just doesn't fit that movie. I don't know. It feels like it was added in.
It feels.
Yeah,
Yeah.
that's a fair comparison.
Like it feels because he directed a lot of Simpsons.
Yeah.
So I mean that the movie has this like live action cartoon quality, and like one of my favorite things is like at the end when, like I can't remember if it's Romy or Michelle. Wouldn't it be great if when we take off in the helicopter, like
Everybody comes out.
everybody comes out and like his
Yeah.
and that happens? It's like I love that. It's just so
Yeah.
funny.
That's what I say. I think it was just generally something about the way they wrote their personalities that there was just something that seemed out of place for me. Maybe not even extra, but just out of place. And I don't know what it was. Maybe if I watched it again, I would know. But
Okay.
I can't like put my finger on exactly what it is. But it was just something. But like I said, the rest of the movie I enjoyed. I did think that part felt like it was part of a different movie. I don't know. It just seemed kind of spliced.
It might have went on too long.
Maybe that.
It is like a long dream
It's
sequence.
very long.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That is true.
But
It
I
is.
think that's supposed to kind of like when they cut it, like
Yeah.
and it goes back to reality, and she wakes up just in the car. It's like, thanks for waking me up.
right.
You know, I don't know. I like that.
Like once they're at the high school reunion, the comedy is ridiculous. There's like, it's ridiculous stuff happening, and I found it hilarious. But that, just like the dance scene when they're dancing there at the end.
It's so awesome.
It's so good. And in the club.
Oh
in
no,
the
that's my
beginning,
favorite
too.
part of the movie.
oh, okay.
Oh, okay.
100%. I died the whole time. Like that is my 100% favorite part. It's just where they would like put their hands on their hands.
Yeah, it's
and all these weird poses they were doing. It was just hilarious.
My sister and I used to do an interpretive dance to that song because of this movie.
That's great.
And the whole song in our hallway.
We're gonna need you to bring her here and perform that.
I think I'm okay.
I don't need to do a TikTok with
You'll have to buy a ticket to the show.
Oh, okay.
Oh,
Yeah.
wow.
Might be worth it.
I don't think it's worth it.
Okay.
We don't have very good reviews.
Okay, we can have Kendall write the reviews for you. Though.
There you go.
There you go.
Okay, I'll take it.
They'll work.
I will also say there were parts of it that just felt like a not as good Mean Girls, which this movie came out first.
I can kind of see that, but I mean,
But I think once again it was that something in the writing that I wasn't crazy about, whatever it was, the little bit of extra or something, whatever you want to call it. Because even like the Mean Girls, they were, I don't know, they were almost too ridiculous to hate in a way. Like, you know you're not supposed to like them.
The Mean Girls?
And you don't really like them. Yeah. But they were
Yeah,
almost...
I mean, they're very cartoony.
Yeah, we'll just go with that. Maybe that's what I didn't like is the cartoony. The cartoony part of them kind of took away from them being the mean girls for me, if that makes sense.
Okay. That's fair.
what I thought was interesting, I don't know if it was on purpose or not, is whenever they do the flashback segments and they're all clearly like 35 and they're supposed to be like 17.
I love that.
I don't know if that's on purpose or if it's like a Grease type thing where everybody's clearly really old and they
Right.
just don't want you to think that they're old.
I think they're in on the joke. I think that's part of the appeal of the movie. Is
That's
the
what I'm
movie,
thinking,
the movie's
too.
in on the joke, of what it is, and it doesn't like explicitly break the fourth wall much, but there's a little wink.
Yeah.
In everything.
You mean like how this movie's technically part of the Tarantino verse?
Yeah, because
Even
they
though it's not
referenced.
Tarantino.
Was it Big
movie?
Kahuna Burger?
It's Big Kahuna Burger.
Yeah.
Because he's dating Mia Sorvino at this time.
Mm-hmm.
And so, like, the way that Tarantino ties together a lot of his films so they're in the same universe as each other is there's a burger restaurant called Big Kahuna Burger.
Oh,
From
okay.
Pulp Fiction.
And from Pulp Fiction, it's in, like, a lot of his films. It's in Reservoir Dogs.
The Red Apple cigarettes
Yeah.
are in just about
Oh,
all the
okay.
movies.
And so both of those are in this movie, even though he didn't direct it or wasn't. So it's like a little wink, wink, nudge, nudge to, you know,
Yeah.
why would this movie be part of like the Tarantino
That is kinda
universe?
funny.
Because it doesn't fit, you know, but it's kind of like,
I don't know. I
Huh.
kind of want to see Romy and Michelle hook up with like Jules and Vincent and like have a
or
a
like,
big
you know,
adventure.
they could join up.
Nah, that's something I'd
They
probably
could join up
watch.
with the Death Proof girls and just
Oh, that would be.
on their road
Can you
trip.
imagine them?
That's true. Oh my gosh. Oh, that's perfect.
See Romy on the hood of the car.
That's what I was
That'd be
picturing
awesome.
exactly.
Instead of, oh God,
Zoe Bell.
Zoe Bell, yeah.
That'd be great.
That is funny.
No, yeah.
That's what I say. I mean, their characters, it's not that they're written horribly or anything. Like, I think they hit the mark on the Valley Girl thing. It's just maybe the cartoonish part of the movie that threw me off a little bit.
I would
But
like. I would
But
like
is
to talk
Tammy
about
not cartoonish? I mean, in an unfunny way, but like Tammy, is that not ridiculous and cartoony?
I don't know that I would say cartoony.
I think it's beyond cartoony.
Yeah, it's great.
I didn't mean that in a good way.
Yeah, it's not a compliment.
Great.
I don't know, but I do so wish I would have had you watch The Heat instead.
I mean, the Heat's
I love
okay.
Sandra Bullock.
I've seen the Heat,
I know.
and Tammy's more punishment.
That's true.
Made for a better podcast.
But like I said, I think overall, I enjoyed the movie.
Okay.
And overall, I do think we'll go back and watch it again at some point, even if I just throw it on as background or something like that.
Okay.
And maybe the parts that kind of threw me off wouldn't throw me off the second time around. I think it's one of those things where I've done with other movies that you've recommended. I go in not knowing something about it, and that something just throws me off for the whole movie. But if I had known ahead of time, it was a little more outlandish than a normal, because I feel like it's a little more over the top than a lot of your 90s comedies. 90s comedies are over the top as is, but I feel like this one was like a step above. on the outlandishness. And I think it was something that, like, if I knew that going in, it wouldn't have been a surprise and it wouldn't have taken away from it as much, if that makes sense. I've said if
So
that
the
makes sense a
issues-
lot.
So the issues are your expectations.
Probably.
Not the movie itself.
Yeah.
Can we talk?
That's why I said probably if I watched it again.
Yeah.
Can we talk about like the maximalist fashion of the 90s?
I love
and
it.
How like crazy their like Barbie Dreamhouse outfits are that they're
They're
wearing.
awesome.
The one at the end is so cute. I would wear that. I fully would wear that.
They're nonsense. They're awesome, but they're a lot.
Yeah, and I think it's meant to be that way in the movie for sure.
It reminds me a lot of like 13 Going on 30 when she like
Yeah.
makes the dress with
Hers are
all
crazy.
The, like,
Yes.
like all of her outfits
That's
are crazy
true.
too. Where it like feels
That's
like
such a good
someone who is not quite an adult has been transplanted into an adult's body.
Right.
That's kind of what their outfits reminded me of too. It's like they're
And I felt like that's kind of what Romy and Michelle was as well. They obviously got older, but they were still in spirit the same as they were in high school. And I think that was funny as well.
And there's like a darker undercurrent here where the trauma they experience in high school is left
Oh,
them,
right. Kept him that
has
way.
left them kind of still in that mindset of like a 17-year-old.
Right.
Their taste, nothing's really changed for them.
Yeah. And I think that could have been actually part of what they were doing with that movie because it does fit like the whole movie because it's like they kind of
Well,
grow up.
Yeah, I mean that's part of the appeal is like they go to the reunion. And the reunion is kind of a catharsis for them because
Right.
they see how the boy she had a crush on is really just a drunk who cheats on his wife, and
Yeah.
well, I guess Lucy Cooter did okay because Alan Cumming's like super rich and has a helicopter. So
Yeah, that's true.
but like like just seeing the people that traumatize them are kind of stuck in their little bubble. They never
Right.
left or whatever, and they're kind of
and that's kind of when they grow up.
yeah, and they learn to really embrace who they are.
Right.
And that's all. I love their fashion and everything. It's really cute,
Yeah.
and it's like that's them, And I love their little shop at the end. It's really sweet. That's what I mean. Like the movie's just really sweet. Like
it is.
it's just very endearing, and like someone was like, "Hey, you want to throw on Romy and Michelle?" I'm like, "Yeah."
Yeah.
'Cause
I was surprised. It didn't strike me as something that you would like.
no, I like comedies.
Yeah.
Just
are
not
good.
Tammy.
Just not Tammy. Just not like
You also like teen movies that are good.
yeah.
Just not
I like a good teen movie.
13 going on 30 was good.
13
13
going
or
on 30
30
is
is
pretty
good. We haven't done it.
Yeah.
It's not one we did for the
Oh, I
podcast.
didn't mean that. I meant 17 again.
That's not good.
Yeah, I liked it.
13 going on 30 has
13 going on 30 is good.
30
that's
Going on
enough.
30 is a better version of that movie because they're both like time trap, like
I guess that's true.
body swap
Yeah.
or whatever. But like, I mean, 30. I mean, I don't know. Jennifer Garner and Mark Ruffalo are cute together.
Yeah, oh
Like,
yeah.
it's an endearing
There's
little
no
movie.
arguing with
I
that.
could-
That's an amazing
I could care
movie.
about Matthew Perry and Zac Efron.
Yeah,
or
I guess
whatever-
that's true.
Whatever else happened.
I couldn't even tell you how many times I've seen 13 going on 30.
I couldn't either. A lot.
So this seems to be like a comfort movie. What are some other, like for you guys, what are some like, Jordan also, since you recommended this one, what are some of your, I am sick and I don't feel good and I want to put up just a movie that I don't have to like think about, but just to like comfort me?
This is not a comforting movie at all, but it's my comfort movie. Is Mommy Dearest.
Okay.
I love that movie.
That's a good one.
It's
That's a
great.
good one. Yeah.
I mean, if I'm sick or like sad or something, mine's Scream. So
Okay, that makes sense.
I throw that on.
Scream
Or Twister.
has its charming moments that aren't like as
Right.
know.
Speaking of Scream, apparently the red blouse that Lisa Kudrow wore when she went into the Bargain Mart is the same one that Courtney Cox wore at the end of Scream.
Oh, wow. A lot of our movies have tied back to
Maybe they
Scream
were- maybe
lately.
they were
Well, they're both
sharing
Miramax
closets while they
movies.
were
Maybe.
friends.
Oh, that's true.
They both came out the same year.
That's
Oh,
awesome.
I guess that's true. Well, that's really cool.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I forgot.
Mine are like comfort movies are probably like RoboCop or Pulp Fiction, stuff like that.
Pulp Fiction.
Hangout movies, like Once Upon a Time in Hollywood. Movies I can just kind of hang out with a couple characters
Hang
for
out
a few
with
hours.
and just
Yeah.
chill.
Which I'm going to pick for you at some point, but
Yeah.
Mine is A Knight's Tale.
that's a good one.
Every time. Every time.
I don't know what that is.
It's great.
It sounds horrible.
It's
It's like a medieval movie with
modern
with a rock soundtrack.
like rock soundtrack, like
Heath
they do
Ledger.
"We Will Rock You" by Queen in the opening.
You know who did We Will Rock You by Queen? It's my favorite.
What?
Britney Spears
Yeah.
and Pink and Beyonce.
Oh, I bet that's great.
What's for Pepsi?
Yeah, it's a Pepsi commercial.
I don't know if I've.
Amazing.
I have seen that. Is that not the
Coliseum.
like Gladiator commercial?
Yes.
Yeah. Oh, don't worry, you'll watch it at some point. What happened? Anyway,
I'd like to
moving
pass on that.
forward.
Romy and Michelle. So like I said, my favorite part is the dance sequence. Absolutely, hands down. What is like your favorite scenes? Either of you, both of you.
I like the beginning when they're getting ready for the reunion. Like they're trying to lose weight and like she has to do a favor to borrow the car, or like when she's in the club and the guy's talking to her and she's like, "Oh, I have to go this way. My shoe's filling up with blood." And then she just, and then she just limps away.
Maybe I did laugh throughout the movie more than I thought I did
So many
because
little
that
jokes
was
that are-
funny. That is like worse than I need to stay in to wash my hair. Like
Yeah.
there's blood filling up my pumps. Like I gotta go.
I don't know. I love them getting their little shop at the end.
Yeah.
It's really sweet.
Yes.
I love I like all the flashbacks. I think it's really cute how the Janine Garofalo thing with what's her name, where she tells her to F off.
Oh yeah.
Heather Mooney.
Heather Mooney. Yeah. I love all that.
Which was kind of like a neat little full circle thing too, because she's, through the movie, she's so angry because she has always felt like somebody was picking on her.
Yeah.
Or made her feel bad.
Yeah.
And then she finds out that she thought Romy and Michelle were like super cool.
Yeah.
And they were picked on. And then she found out that she picked on somebody and it just like made her
And I love
life.
I love that with the cowboy guy, or he's just like,
Yeah.
he's got a stutter. Like when she actually talks to him, he's like, he's got a stutter, and he's like, oh, yeah, like he's intimidated and scared by her.
Right.
You know,
God, I
and
would
That's
like,
the whole reason he
and there's
didn't.
like, I don't know, there's real.
Well, yeah. Who
The
wouldn't? be?
movie's
Yeah.
goofy and cartoony, but there are real, like, I feel like they operate in a real way, like
Yeah.
how they're interacting and how they feel.
They operate on
is
like
a
your real.
on a real level, and it's like kind of grounds the lunacy of the whole thing.
Well, I think you leave high school and you like retrospectively realize a lot of things. Like you
Oh, yeah.
realize like, you realize some of your bad decisions and some of your good decisions. And then also like didn't care about the things I like, was worried about as much as I thought that they did.
Yeah.
Or they did.
Or or I had these interactions because of a totally different reason than I
Right.
thought that like her and the guy, it's like, she thinks he's
Like a mean person.
like mean.
Yeah.
And
He really just.
he really is just like anxious around her because he, is intimidated. And
Right.
it's like, that's a.
Well, he's like
That's
the
an-
loner. Like he doesn't feel like he fits in anywhere. So
Yeah.
when he sees her, she's kind of the same thing. Like she's always out smoking alone, and
Right.
I don't know. I think it's really sweet. And this is like something that Tammy doesn't have.
There's
kind
that
of
sweet
like
part.
no, it's not. Stop.
Yeah. Yes,
Stop.
when she calls her fat, and then it's so sad, and then she apologizes,
God.
and then she almost dies, but she doesn't die. Such a good scene.
Josh wishes that she would have died so the movie could have.
Ended.
Yeah, that's true.
Or had some stakes. Either or.
Yeah. Whatever. Anyway.
I will say, and I know I've said this about other movies that we've done. Maybe I'd like it better if I went back and watched it, or maybe I'll have to watch that again. But I think this is one that I will actually watch again, and see. I'm kind of curious if I will feel the same way the second time, because I think maybe I won't now that I know what I'm going into.
Yeah, I think you'll like it more. I mean, like as I was watching it, only like several times, it was like, there's no way he doesn't like this movie.
Yeah, I
Oh,
did
get that,
like it.
Yeah.
I just didn't love it, but
Yeah. Well, you'll learn to love it.
I hope so. Her voice really gets on my nerves, though. I don't know why.
Well, you're wrong, but it's okay.
Just a little wrong.
Yeah. Well, maybe it won't the second time around. Maybe I'll just have to update you next podcast. I'll have to watch the movie again.
Listen
by
to the
then
next
I'm
podcast
trying
as
to
we
think
watch
about
Romy
like what's
Michelle
weird
again.
about her voice.
as I talk
is it?
about it again.
What is it?
I'm trying to
Toby?
think about what's weird about Mira Sorvino's voice. Like,
That it's like this.
Yeah.
Well, it's
yeah.
just like there's.
But
she
she's
just has a
delivering
deep
all
voice.
these. But it feels. That's why I asked if that was her real voice, because it feels so.
I think she kind of has like a little bit of it. I mean, it's definitely a voice she's putting on.
Yeah, for
She
sure.
does kind of tend to have a little bit.
I
of a
felt like
raspier
it was
voice.
something that took away from the movie because it felt so put on. If you know what I'm
I
saying,
think that
like,
informs her character.
Yeah.
Like the way she,
Okay.
her voice kind
well,
of.
maybe in the second watch it won't bother me.
It's definitely something you don't have to pay full attention to, which I appreciate. Like you
The
can
movie.
leave it and pick up later, and
Right.
just the movie.
Yeah.
The movie whole. Yeah.
kind of know what's going on. I like movies like that. You can just leave and be like,
It's
come back
definitely
and
like
you're
a
like, I know where
comfort
I'm at.
movie. Like, you know,
Yeah.
throw on and have a few laughs and
Makes me want to go get a businesswoman special for lunch after I leave here.
yeah, I love their whole
The
thing.
woman just
about
looked
being
at him.
like we're just gonna show up and be businesswomen, and then
But they didn't know what
someone's-
kind of
yeah,
business.
someone's
Yeah.
just like, so what's your business? And they're like, I don't know.
I like how after, like, saying you own your own business, and instead of just making up a random business, they choose to be inventors
I know, right?
of Post-it notes.
What's gonna really impress them?
Yeah, Post-it notes.
Even the
Like-
post-it.
And that was funny because also that's not what you would pick if you're trying to impress people.
No, that's what
Like-
they would pick.
I invented Post-it notes.
Well, because who knows who invented Post-it notes?
Yeah.
I
well,
also-
Well, clearly somebody
Janine
did.
Garofalo does.
Yeah.
I feel like it's one of those like convenient, like Hollywood, like here's some nonsense where someone could be rich but not well known for being rich.
Yeah,
Because like Maid of Honor has a similar thing where he invented the coffee collars, little
Mm-hmm.
sleeves you put your coffee into. What's something that people use all the time, so you'd be
Right.
obscenely rich off of, but like
Yeah, that
No one's
I
gonna
mean,
know
that's
your
true.
name.
Yeah,
Which, by the way, Post-it notes were invented at 3M by a scientist who was looking for a non-permanent sticky substance he could use to bookmark pages in a church hymnal.
that's interesting. Did you know that whiteout is invented by the mother of one of the monkeys,
wow.
like the band The Monkeys?
Oh,
I was thinking like an actual monkey. Yeah.
I was like, a monkey invented that?
That's what I was thinking too.
The Monkeys, the band.
Wow.
I think it's the lead singer. His mom invented whiteout. It's weird.
Interesting.
Yeah.
That is interesting.
So, have any of you gone to your high school reunions?
I
Jordan, you're
didn't.
too young.
Well, yeah, I'm too young.
Let's say he graduated last year.
I
Calm
think
down.
our
Last
10-year was
year.
supposed. Our 10-year was supposed to be last year, but I think with COVID, we've just all unilaterally decided we're not doing that.
Yeah.
And no one's ever going back to Clover.
we had our 10-year, but one, I wasn't in a place in life where I wanted to like go be around the people that I didn't like back then. Not that I mean,
you
there was
didn't
just
want to
few.
create a fake business.
Yeah, like
Show
I
up in a-
didn't. I wasn't at the place in life
Like a
where I
spandex
felt like
pink miniskirt.
yeah, that's where I
With
wasn't
feathers.
yet. I wasn't
wasn't
even
there
at like
yet.
Romy and Michelle
Well,
status.
there's always your 20th.
Oh. If we have one, we didn't have a 15th. But also they had our 10th reunion at the ballpark, you know,
hmm
what's now Go-Mart Park.
Is it really Go-Mart Park?
Yeah.
It sure is.
Go-Mart Ballpark.
Like the downtown Dirty
Mhm.
Birds?
Yeah.
Go-Mart?
Let's go downtown and see the Dirty Birds at
It's not
Go-Mart
Appalachian
Park.
Power Park anymore?
No.
It's the Go-Mart field.
Yeah.
Oh my God.
What?
But anyways,
That's gotten
We're definitely in
progressively more
West Virginia.
redneck.
I know, that's what I said. So they had it there, and they had it on the party deck, and it was like $30 or $40 to go to like hang out in the heat. I was like, so
No.
all that aside, I already didn't want to go, and then I feel like I need my Romy and Michelle moment
Everyone
because high
does.
school wasn't like the best.
Yeah.
So I need that when I go back, and I just wasn't there. And also not doing it in the heat. So hopefully we'll have a 20, and hopefully I'll be ready for that. Did you go to yours?
Nope.
No Romy and Michelle moment.
No Romy and Michelle moment.
Maybe
I didn't
one
really
day.
like, hate high school though.
I didn't.
I mean, it was okay. Like,
I didn't hate high school. There were a lot of good things from high school, but there were a lot of bad things for me.
Yeah.
So
High school was fine.
I just had no interest. Like,
yeah.
the few people I liked, like, yeah.
Now I will say I like a lot of people from even like some of the people I didn't know real well. I liked a lot of my class that I graduated with. Like
Yeah.
we were a pretty good class, I think. So I
I'm not
will
going to
eventually
that.
go.
I'd rather swallow a denim jacket. I'm
Then
not-
go
Get
back.
back.
That sounds super painful, by the way.
Yeah, exactly. That's the point.
Yeah. So you don't plan on going to any of your?
Absolutely not. Especially, I'm not paying. No,
Yeah.
no.
I don't know that you always had to pay. I don't know
I
how
think
that
you
works.
do because the people that pay for it usually are the ones that fund
Oh, that's
it.
true.
Yeah.
So if you were to do a Romy and Michelle and go to a high school reunion and make up what you did for a living, what would you make up?
Oh man.
I work as a sound designer for Hollywood films.
There you go.
That would be.
I would probably just tell them I'm a freelance writer
Okay.
because that's what I was like headed towards when I was in high school, and that I did that kind of stuff while in high school, And there'd really be no way to disprove that.
Oh gosh, I don't know. I'm a freestyle dance instructor,
There you go.
even though I can't dance or
Well, that's why it's freestyle.
or anything artistic.
Freestyle.
Yeah, exactly. You don't know what I got up my sleeve.
I think it would have to be one of those things where
Jordan's very mysterious.
I'm about to bust a move right now in this little office.
go ahead.
Do it.
I'm good.
Aw,
My knees
We're
hurt.
all gonna end up with concussions.
I do think that's the thing with. I don't know. I feel like Post-it notes. It would be maybe it wouldn't be obvious, but I don't know. But I feel like something like what we've said, freelance writer or like a dancer or sound person. It's not like you could easily disprove that right then.
I would go with astronaut.
Oh
Name an astronaut in the last like 5 years. Any of them? Do you know any?
no, but I feel like if they went to my school at one point, I would know them. It's that kind of thing.
I don't think so.
Yeah, they would have like a plaque on it in a
My school
display case.
would like.
Not an astronaut that's been to space necessarily,
Oh, just
but
like one
like
that's in
I work
training
at
and can't make
NASA.
it.
Yeah.
Oh, I mean, yeah, I
We
guess.
could get away
I
with
would
it.
Like I work at NASA, maybe,
Yeah.
but you would have to be.
I'm slotted to go to Mars whenever the Mars the Mars mission happens.
There you go.
That's what you said.
There you go. Yeah. Well, because at NASA, you could always be like, when they're like, well, what do you do? What do you work on? Well, that's actually classified.
It's confidential.
Yeah, it's confidential.
It's not really something I can talk about, but I do enjoy my job there.
Well, so that was what I was going to go into with geology is planetary sedimentology.
That would have been cool.
It would have been real cool. Some days I'm sad about it.
Space.
Now you run a podcast.
No, I run a
with us.
podcast at library. It's fine. Different kinds of success.
Be looking at dust from Mars, but now it's
Dust. I don't know.
dude.
Dust on books.
Dust from Mars is super exciting. I'm just like gonna state that for
Yeah.
record. Yeah,
You could
learned so much from dust.
go study the dust on our books.
No, thank you.
Probably could learn a lot from that too.
People sediment's weird.
Ugh.
Yeah. People said it. I already say it's just skin mostly.
Yeah.
Most things just get so.
Ugh. Okay. That's
right.
gross.
So Romy and Michelle, everyone enjoyed?
Yeah,
I
I
enjoyed
think-
it. I
yeah.
think.
I think
Always.
overall, I do plan on rewatching it and reporting back on the podcast at some point
I appreciate that.
if I like it more.
It's great. There's lots of little jokes in there that you can miss.
And that might be it too. Maybe I miss things that
There are, yeah, because there are like it is like Simpsons in a way. Like there's a bunch of little jokes in the background or little nods here and there.
I definitely want to rewatch it.
Like
but
the ep-
overall,
The
I think it
episode
was.
that Ramon is watching, like he's watching an episode of Simpsons. David Merkin wrote that.
Oh, I think overall it was a good pick for the podcast. So thanks for that, Jordan.
You're welcome.
Good start.
Yeah. So I guess that kind of brings us to the end of Romy and Michelle's high school reunion. We're going to go to some announcements from the library, and then we'll be back to talk about Once Upon a Time in the West.
Toby here with the adult services announcements for the library. We have a whole bunch going on because it's June and summer reading is upon us. So if you've not signed up for our summer library program or summer reading program, come on by the library and sign up for that. But for events this month, obviously, if you're listening to this, it is the 1st, and we've released a new episode of the Real Opposites podcast. Our next episode is going to come out June 15th. Now, June 2nd, we have our first meeting of the Cryptic Coloring Club that will have 2 meetings this summer. But this first one, just come on by. We have coloring sheets. This is an adult program, but just come by, relax, and color with us and enjoy some cryptid fun facts. Then on Monday, June 5th, we have our first welcome meeting for our book club. If you want to participate in the book club this summer, you need to come to the welcome meeting. We will have snacks and tea, and we will be meeting the 5th at 6 p.m. Then Friday, June 9th, we will have our whimsical watercolors with Joanne Jacobs starting at 5 p.m. Saturday, June 10th, we will have the South Charleston Interpretive Center tours at 11 and 1:30. So come on by the library and then we'll send you across to the Interpretive Center for your tour. Closed for Juneteenth and West Virginia Day. But the first day back, June 21st, our Bigfoot researchers are coming in. So we will have In the Shadow of the Big Red Eye with producer and lead investigator Mike Familiot at 7 p.m. here at the library. And then the last thing that we have in June is on the 26th, we will have our first book reading meeting of the book club, where we will be discussing The Devil All the Time. But remember, if you want to participate in book club, we do need you to come to that meeting on the 5th. All right, I'm going to pass it on over to Kendall, where she will have lots of announcements about youth and what they're doing this summer in outer space.
Hey everyone, Kendall here, and we are so excited to be going out of this world this summer for our reading program entitled the SCPL Reading Rocket. So starting next week on Tuesday the 6th, we'll start having weekly programs for different age groups every week. Tuesday is for school-age kids, so these are kindergartners through 5th graders, and we have programs at 10:30 and again at 6:30. And these are identical programs, but we just want to offer them at different times of the day for different family schedules. We have our teen program starting on Wednesday, June the 7th. That runs from 3 to 5 p.m. and is open to teens in grades 6 through 12. And then on Thursdays, starting Thursday, June 8th, we have our early literacy program. So this is perfect for kiddos from birth through age 4 or 5, perfect for toddlers, preschoolers, and those programs will be at 10:30 and again at 3:30. So like I said, those will be every week during the summer on Tuesdays, Wednesdays, and Thursdays, with a few exceptions. As Toby mentioned, the library is closed on June 19th for Juneteenth, and then again on June 20th in honor of West Virginia Day. So that week we will not be having regular programs, but instead, on that Friday, June the 23rd, starting at 3, we're going to show the movie WALL-E, a personal favorite, and we'll also have some crafts that kids can work on, popcorn and juice, and that'll also be an opportunity for kids to bring in recycled robots, which would be robots they've made out of materials they found around the house to add to our robot display. So that is a quick overview of all of our youth programs for the month of June, but if you are interested, I strongly encourage you to check out our Facebook page and or our website for more details, or you can pick up a hard copy of the calendar here at the SCPL circulation desk. But without further ado, I'll pass it back to Miss Toby. Thanks so much for listening.
All right, guys, and we're going to send you back to the show.
All right, we're back from those announcements, and we're going to jump straight into Josh's pick this time, Once Upon a Time in the West, a Sergio Leone film. Leone. Okay.
It's a spaghetti Western.
You know what? I don't know what that means.
It's Italian.
Okay.
It's a Western directed, set in the American West, directed by Italians. There were a lot of them.
They called them spaghetti
westerns? They called them spaghetti westerns.
It's a whole genre that
There's a whole genre.
started in the 60s.
I don't like the names of some of these genres of movies, but
Yeah, they're kind of questionable, but that's how we live.
Actually, this one was the first one to be shot in the U.S.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
So with a largely, like American stars. Also, Leone had made the Man with No Name films before this with Clint Eastwood. But Clint Eastwood was really, and Lee Van Cleef were the only two really stars. But when they started, Clint Eastwood was nobody. He was just on Rawhide on TV, so people only really knew him from that, and some little bit parts here and there.
I believe I've seen Rawhide before, parts of it.
Okay.
So now that we have a little history, tell us why you chose it for us.
So I chose Once Upon a Time in the West.
To murder me?
No, you won't expect that when it happens.
Oh.
Okay. Schnicker.
I chose Once Upon a Time in the West because I want to expose you to new and different things that are artistically, exuberant. And
those are big words. I could have told you I've seen westerns before, though.
Yeah, I'm sure you have. Everyone's probably seen at least something.
Okay.
That's not what he means.
I know.
It has style for days.
Yeah, so it's my number 8 movie of all time.
Mm-hmm.
It's
Have we filled out that list yet?
Not yet.
There's still more.
There's a
of it?
couple that we've done.
Okay. Oof.
But no one Leone, maybe, and a few other people, maybe Hitchcock and De Palma, really used cinema to its full extent. Framing, the way the camera moves, the music, the way he cuts from extreme close up to a ultra wide shot, and at the end when harmonica, and Henry Fonda, who is Jane Fonda's
Father.
Thank you. Not cousin.
Oh wait, they are actually related?
Yes.
Oh my God.
I
thought you made that joke last time.
I did, but then I found out later that they actually are related.
Oh, I thought we were just expanding on the joke.
Yeah, he said that like a couple weeks ago, and I was like, I laughed, but then he was like, "Oh, I found out they actually are father."
He said it on the podcast last time.
Did he?
Yeah,
Okay.
yeah.
Okay.
I
Well,
said they were
anyway.
first cousins.
We said they're first
That's what I'm
cousins.
saying. I thought like we were just expanding on that joke. Okay, so it's her father. His father.
Yeah.
Whose father?
Jane
Jane
Fonda's,
Fonda's
father.
Yeah.
Henry Fonda. And he
That's
can
pretty
say, Leone can say more in one cut than 3 pages of dialogue could ever say about. And like, that's the thing with film is that if you're going to make a film, make a film. Like, don't make a stage play or make something, really go for it and understand the medium and utilize everything you can to tell your story in a cinematic way. And nobody really did that the way he did. And you feel his stamp on every single line and cut and piece of music. And like the opening 10 minutes are just
Long.
incredible.
Oh. Yeah. That's
So
where
the
I was
point-
going to.
So I know you're going to hate this movie. So I'm just going to go jump in because I've already kind of come up with a rebuttal that you're going to say something. But I'll let you. I love the movie to death. Whoever wants to go first.
Jordan, why don't you tell us? Did you watch it?
I did.
Okay.
This movie was not something I would particularly watch for myself. It was an old maiden type of movie.
What does that mean?
I'm just kidding. However, I will say that it was not my favorite thing. But I did appreciate a bunch of parts of it. I thought it was very artsy. I expected it to be something that my grandparents watch, which they probably do. But I did kind of appreciate the fact that it didn't really romanticize the West like most movies do, how they kind of gloss over like the treatment of like the native people and things like that. I do like how they kind of broke that apart. I did not expect it to do that.
Yeah, so spaghetti westerns really like that's
It's an unbiased point of view of an American movie because
exactly because it's for so long like westerns were like the default. Those were like the superhero movies of their day. Like, those were the money makers. There was tons of them that come out every year. But aside from like you'd have some really like High Noon or Shane every few years, a lot of them were very humdrum, kind of by the numbers, and they never really depicted like how dirty and hard the life was. And it took like spaghetti westerns in the 60s to really show these like sun-baked faces that are just like you can feel the years of wear on them.
I could feel the skin cancer
Gosh,
forming.
me too.
Like
Yeah.
I was like, it can't be healthy to be this
And-
tan. Like, did Charles Bronson die from skin cancer? Like, what is? It's
And just to like how brutal life was, and like he juxtaposes that with the beauty of Morricone's score and the wailing voice of the woman, and like it's just incredible. I know, but just it's a little history. So the spaghetti westerns are really what shaped how we viewed that time period. I feel like more than anything, because I mean those feel more authentic than so many of the westerns that came before. Because I feel like what they're wearing, how dirty everything is, dust flying.
Yes.
It just feels like that's probably what it felt like.
The director's vision is very much anti-romantic.
Yeah.
Well, I think it did do that in the fact that it just seemed like a realistic view of that time period and how things were. And you also get that in the end, it's kind of like the guys know that moving into the modern world, they're almost out of place or their time's running out as the way the world is going at that point.
Yeah.
So, I mean, I think there were definitely some subject matters that went through very well in this movie. But, man, it was nicely shot. I will give it that. I like Charles Bronson. I know him from Death Wish 1 through 5. And I feel like he was a really good actor.
I think he was a better actor than he was given credit for, and I feel like like when he's given good material like
Mhm.
this. There's a couple other movies he made, like Mr. Majestic, The Mechanic's really good, Rider on the Rain.
I need to watch more.
He's
Because-
so
But he had-
good for this. Like
Yeah.
his eyes are just, like his stares so
That's
steely.
what I was
like
gonna
he's
say.
got,
It's just like
yeah.
that's a Leone face.
Yeah,
Like,
and
because Clint Eastwood's kind of pretty.
right,
Like he's very handsome.
the rugged,
Right.
handsome.
He's
Yeah,
rugged, but he's handsome. And Charles Bronson, he's very rugged. Like
Yeah.
the way his face is shaped and the wrinkles, like it just like
Well, I also
the
think
perfect
Charles
Leone
Bronson
face.
went
Oh,
through
yeah.
some stuff as a younger man. Like he was born in like extreme poverty and
Yeah.
stuff.
Yeah.
And so it's like I think he has a little like there is age to his face that isn't age in this
Right.
movie.
It's
You know
just
what I
wear,
mean? And it
yeah.
just
it is
kind of-
real.
it feels real. Yeah. I was surprised because I've only ever seen like one of the Death Wish movies, and I don't think I've ever seen Charles Bronson in anything else.
Yeah,
And I was like, oh, I thought he did a great, like, he's
Yeah.
a really good leading man for a Western. He
Yeah.
carries it well. And that was kind of funny. And now I understand why my neighbor's dog is named Bronson.
yeah,
Because he has, like, this super blue, like, piercing eyes
Oh,
and a
yeah,
grumpy
yeah.
face.
yeah.
And I'm like, oh, this makes sense. Like,
That's adorable.
I now
That
get
is.
it. Like,
I do only know Bronson from all the Death Wishes,
Yeah.
but I think even in those, I mean, they're ridiculous and the writings, whatever, and they're all the same. But I
Yeah.
think even in those, like we're talking about his face, like he still was a physical actor in a sense.
Yeah, and he has a screen presence. that-
like even in that, he had that screen
oh,
presence.
there's a really good one called Hard Times. It was Walter Hill's first movie. And
Is it a Western?
It's set during the Depression era.
Okay.
Kind of underground boxer.
Mhm.
But you definitely see like his physicality and screen presence come through there in that film really well.
Yeah. I just think he's good. So I did enjoy seeing him as harmonica.
Yeah.
I think for me, I'm trying to word this so it doesn't just sound like I'm just trying to rip your movie. But I think for me, it's, and I know it's part of the art of it. And I know you version of cinema is, like you were saying, make a movie, you need these aspects. I feel like all the shots without dialogue is what takes me out of the movie. But that's because I think it's because of my ADHD. I don't have anything to pay attention to. I mean, I can't sit for 8 minutes and watch someone crack their knuckles and someone like do something else
But it's
when they're getting
setting
ready
up-
to have
that's
like a
suspense.
showdown and things like that.
That's suspense. It's like you're listening to the water drip and,
Yeah.
and the fly buzzing around his face,
Yes.
Right.
cracking their knuckles. They're sitting like they're, he's kind of taunting the railway
Right.
worker. It's like it's building up, and you're like, I don't know, it's kind of like how they would open every Breaking Bad episode. It's definitely very inspired by like that opening from Once Upon a Time in the West, because it would be some innocuous little thing that would come back later, but it would kind of focus away from like, what's this? And then it would kind of lead in. And I mean, I think it's just great filmmaking where you are building suspense just out of sounds and images,
Yeah.
movement.
I think it
And-
also revealed a lot about the characters too.
Yeah.
The complete silence. It's like because literally nothing was happening at all, but they still found a way to find conflict in something.
Yeah.
Like how he was getting dripped on by the water, but instead of like moving, he puts his hat on and like almost like dares it to keep doing it, and then he drinks it.
Yeah.
And same with the fly on his
Fly
face.
buzzing that he gets
Yeah.
stuck in his captures it in his gun.
Yeah.
That
I mean, I'm not saying, and that's, I get it. I get that it's building suspense. It just, for me, it's one of those things that I just have, and this is why I don't watch movies. It's one of those things that I just can't pay attention to enough to care
So-
or to feel the suspense that I know they're building.
Let's say you're reading a book. Okay.
luck.
Listening to a book.
Yeah. Good luck even with that sometimes, but yes.
So you come across a phrase or sentence or paragraph, and you're thinking, like, are you like thinking about why did they use this word? Why did they write it this way? Look at how it's constructed. It's the same way how you watch a movie. Why is this edit here? Why is this shot moving this way? Why is this actor moving this way? What is why?
I don't do that with books either, though. I don't.
So you're just consuming.
Yeah.
Okay.
I'm consuming for entertainment. And I think in that sense, I mean, there are books that I have read that way or things like, I mean, where I used to write. And so there are things like that I've done. But I mean, on a normal basis, I'm just a consumer.
Okay.
I do consume it for entertainment. And I think that's where.
I didn't mean to come off like mean or anything.
No, I didn't think it was. No, I'm.
Okay.
No, I think you're right.
Okay.
That's exactly right. I am someone that just consumes it for an entertainment purpose only. I don't look beyond that.
Okay.
And I think that's where sometimes I do miss a lot in movies. And we figured that out. Like, what's that one that I don't like?
Mulholland Drive.
Yeah, like the whole thing was a dream. Not once did I know that until maybe the end when there was like some weird fog. I need fog to know it's a dream. Romy and Michelle.
Yes.
I knew she was dreaming because there was fog in every scene.
I didn't know that the first time I watched it.
It might not have been like full on fog, but there was like
Fuzziness.
a density blur of some sort.
That makes sense.
Like for someone like me, and that's what I always say when we're talking about movies. I'm someone that casually watches or consumes, I think is a great way to put it. So I don't a lot of times look past that. And in that sense where I'm only consuming it for entertainment and I have ADHD, it does have to be something that catches my attention and keeps my attention. Okay. And that's why sometimes with like the long intros, I can't stand them unless it's really building the story. Like I said, with the suspense part, I knew they were building suspense, but it took me out of the movie enough that I didn't feel that suspense.
When I was watching the intro, I was like, oh, Aaron's going to hate this. I was like, he is already checked out. We were like 1 minute in, and I was like, this is beautiful. Like, it's very well done. Like, it was not the right day for me to watch this movie, but I do like the movie. It was just a hassle of attention to, like, keep in it, you know?
Mm-hmm.
But I did really like it. Just from the intro, when the guy's like crack his knuckles and the guy's like blowing and there's like no sound.
Yeah.
I was like, oh, no.
Yeah, I'm not gonna lie, that was rough.
Yeah, I mean, I think
Real rough.
But I love the payoff of that, right? It's just this like really low key standoff that ends up happening where he's like, you bring a horse for me? And they're like, oh, it looks like we're one short. And he's like, now you brought too many. And then shoots all three of them.
Yeah, I didn't see that coming.
yeah, I mean, it's over before you know it. And
Yeah.
It's like the sudden
just
burst, sudden burst of violence.
And
Which I liked that, a sudden burst of
I
violence.
feel like the strength of the Western is good one-liners.
Oh,
and
exactly.
this movie has great one because harmonica doesn't talk much.
No.
He mostly plays the harmonica to indicate his feelings, which is a neat plot device, especially like at the end when he's like, like,
Yeah.
you know,
Yeah, with
falls over with it in his mouth and
Yeah, oh my God.
Yeah,
That ending, I was showing Travis like the last standoff between harmonica and Henry Fonda, and I was like, this is 9 minutes long. He's like, oh, Aaron's going to hate it. I'm like, yeah, I know.
I'm glad you went into knowing I'm
But
gonna
it's
love
similar to like The Godfather or something where I wanted you to see something that you need to see.
Right. And that's what I can say.
And
I can appreciate what was happening and I understand what they were doing. For an entertainment value for someone that just consumes it, it just doesn't do anything for me. I did watch Westerns while growing up. My grandparents watched Westerns. So I did watch Westerns, but even then it was hard for me to pay attention to Westerns. Now, I will say this one is done beautifully. I mean, it is a great movie, and I think somebody that can pay attention or somebody that really enjoys Westerns, this is a perfect movie.
I don't think this one's like necessarily like a genre movie. Like you have to be into Westerns to enjoy it.
This is an awards movie to me.
Yeah.
I interpret it very much as a movie that would win an Oscar.
It
Yeah.
didn't, but
I can
It's
see
artsy.
that.
yeah, I mean, it's I mean, like Leone just had this innate ability. Like he knew how to make a movie. And,
Yeah.
it's
And that's-
definitely
and
high art. It's beautiful.
Yeah.
Like
Yes.
And
Yeah.
like the way, like they go to the flashbacks of what happened to our harmonica's brother and how, he's hanging, and then they at the end, and like it's so, I don't know, cinema.
Yeah.
And I love that it's one of the few Westerns where it has a female protagonist.
Right.
Like she's really
Yeah.
the main character.
I did not see her surviving.
Claudia
like that.
Cardinale is amazing.
Yeah, I was surprised she survived.
It was a choice.
Yeah, I mean the way that she plays, like when she's first riding up and she's seeing like she's seeing the homestead and the family's gunned down, and like,
Right.
and he just focuses on her face, like
Yeah.
the whole for the whole ride, and you see the heartbreak in her. That's acting, like you can't.
Right.
There's stage acting, and then there's acting for film, and they're entirely different
Yeah.
ways to like,
That's what I'm saying. And that's what I meant earlier when I said I'm trying to find the right words to not make it seem like I'm just ripping this movie apart. Because as a movie and as a cinematic masterpiece or experience,
masterpiece works too.
I mean, honestly, it is great in that sense. It's just a thing that I have an issue paying attention to. So it's not something I would put on, like you said, as a consumer, to just for entertainment.
Yeah.
I think you go into it either I just said Westerns because if you like Westerns, it's probably you're going to pick this up.
This is top tier. I mean,
Right.
This is
Exactly.
I think it's the best Western ever made.
Google agrees with you or says it's in the top.
I feel like
Googled
it's one of those movies where if you put it on and you're not paying it, like if you're putting it on and you're not paying attention. I feel like though every time you look up, like every shot is beautiful.
Right.
Like it's all pretty. It's all well done. The sound mixing is cicadas. For me, just take me into anime typically when I hear them. Oof. But they're really commonly used in anime soundtracks. Don't know why, but it's like a thing.
Oh, the oof was to anime. Not
the cicadas. But the cicadas, it's like they would get. It's a really great use of a sound cue to have this bug that gets oppressively loud when you're trying to draw the audience into because it's when there is they use it when there's dialogue, but it's like the way horror movies cut the volume back, so you have to lean in. It's that same kind of thing. You lean in to hear what they're saying over this oppressively loud droning noise going in the background, and it kind of leads this, but it feels natural because it's not a music swell. It's not you're inhabiting the world with them instead of just
right.
Yeah, the score was beautiful.
It was nice.
Yeah, with it's the piece of music. I mean, they play it a lot, but when she first gets to town and you have the shot that shows the train depot and then the crane rises above and you see the whole town. It's just
yeah. And that's what I say. It's not that I'm saying it's a horrible movie. It's just. For me,
it's a very specific kind of movie.
It is. Yeah. And for me, I mean, I don't like it. And of course, I mean, I can't say
I don't love
hated
it,
the
but
movie.
You can appreciate it for what it is.
Right, exactly.
You can objectively say this is a great movie.
Yeah, that's how I feel about it too.
Yeah, I could say that this is probably a great movie for someone that would like something like this. But for me, it was so painful. It was 3 hours and it was not much dialogue, and it was painful.
It is, I don't want to say slow. It's languid. It takes its time.
It's a slow burn.
But in a good way.
Yeah.
That's what I was going to say.
In a good way.
That's the point.
I mean, I think it's supposed to be, and it makes sense, and it just loses me.
I mean, it's just the way that films used to be made where nothing got in a hurry, and you let things breathe. Someone walks into the bar and it's just we see them walking and there's very few directors that do that anymore where everything just needs to be information, just get the information. It's no, you have to let the actors live in the set or live in the location and
get sucked in.
Yeah, and you take notice of what's going on here and what does this mean? What is the color of that mug? Does that mean something? His shirt or I mean, there's more to film than just plot.
Yes.
Right.
You need character, and character not just in the people, but in the locations, the score, the sound, the colors. There's more to film than just vapid content, which is what most movies are anymore.
And what most consumers enjoy.
What most consumers enjoy is vapid content. What new shows this week? Who cares? It's the same thing that was on last week.
Right.
Or
we're all just in They Live It.
Or we're just remaking the same thing over,
Yeah, I mean,
just now have, how I
There's
Met Your
5 or
Father.
10 movies every year that
kind of
I'm,
things.
excited about.
Yeah.
And it's less and less every year. 20 years ago, I used to go to the movies, every weekend.
Yeah.
So I'd usually probably see at least 50 movies a year in the theater. And now it's 12, maybe. 15.
Yeah. Well, I will say even that, though, even from my point of view, which is different than your point of view, and just like I was talking about going to the movies with my friend this weekend, it was, there's nothing out there, I feel like.
No, I mean, not unless
And not in a cinematic way, and not for a consumer either. It's just been there, done that, or badly done it.
Yeah, I mean, it's either, what's the, now it's there's a Fast and Furious,
Right. Fast and Furious like 40.
11 if you count Hobbs and Shaw.
Oh Lord.
Was there Evil Dead? There's Mario. Little Mermaid comes out, and it's like crap that I've seen for 30 years ago, or that we've seen done way too much in the last 20 years, and it's just like
that's what I'm saying. It's not much catching attention.
Just
even
make something new, and it's like, well, we'll recast. This is just make something new.
Yeah.
You don't need to make Little Mermaid again. Make a new film with a new story. I mean, it can have it's going to always kind of follow. It's Disney or whatever. It's always going to kind of follow a story
in a way.
I mean, it's going to be familiar, but like at least do something new with it.
Right.
You don't need to keep remaking.
I mean, they did put Melissa McCarthy in it, so I'm thinking good move there.
Apparently, she's great in it.
Yeah.
From what
I
I've
feel like she would be a good Ursula. I do. I think that she could.
I do see her as I think it would be good.
Ursula is funny. Like that's kind of like the lean in there.
But the Ursula in the animated movie, you're not going to top that.
No.
Right.
Why try? Like,
I get what you're saying there.
I think they have to go a different
remake
direction
bad things.
Yeah. Ones that didn't hit. Let's try
or
those
ones
again.
that were like, maybe wasn't the best, but we can do better.
Yeah. I'm looking through like a list of movies made in 2023, and it really has been
there's not.
There's about 5 of them that I'm looking forward to, and it's like Oppenheimer, Killers of the Flower Moon, which you will probably like because it's about a murder. It's 3 hours long. It's Scorsese.
Oof.
But it's based on a really good book.
I've seen a Scorsese now, haven't I?
You've seen Taxi Driver.
And that one wasn't horrible.
I want to see Barbie.
Want to see the Barbie?
I'm curious about Barbie.
I am too.
The first trailer, I was
There's
like,
a lot
this
of
looks really
people
like
in it.
like
I
break
think
the fourth wall kind of stuff.
A new one came out at noon.
Did it?
Yeah, I haven't watched it yet, but clearly I've been sitting
Also,
here.
they released way too many trailers. This is just going to be Josh going on a rant. Too many trailers.
Yeah.
Like, there's like 4 trailers for The Flash. And like, I've already seen the movie.
Right. I do agree with that. I feel like anymore, and that's another thing that goes into it, anymore, the movies, I think I lose interest in seeing them because I see so much in the trailers.
Yeah.
And I'm like,
They give so much away.
Feel like I already know the story. But I think Barbie looks like it's going to be interesting
I like Dungeons and Dragons.
way.
That was.
Yeah, I'm
That
kind
was
of looking
good.
forward to watching it because I heard it was.
Yeah, it was
I mean, I heard it was really good. You guys said it was really good, but it
was
looked
funny.
awful, so I didn't go see it.
I think
that needed a better.
Everyone I know that has watched it that has played D&D liked it. Enjoyed it. Like I don't think I know anyone who didn't like it. The trailer was awful. It was so bad.
Yeah.
So and sometimes the trailers are just not good. Like I feel like they've lost the art of making a movie trailer.
Everything's like it's the same music they use. It's the same, like builds, and then it cuts, and then there's a joke, and it's like it's the same. Everything is the same anymore.
Right.
That's why it's like if it's like a new Chris Nolan or Scorsese or something, like it's like that's an event for me because it's like it's or Spielberg. It's like somebody that really knows how to make a movie.
I guess Furiosa is no, that's next year.
What is it?
It's next year is Furiosa.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
I'm pumped for that.
And I guess there's a Bob Ross movie coming out this year, or has come out this year.
Oh, with
it's got
Owen Wilson.
Yeah, Owen Wilson.
Interesting.
Called Paint.
Is it supposed to be a comedy or?
It looked pretty goofy.
Yeah.
And then there's a horror movie called Malum, which I've never seen, but it looks like it might be good.
I mean, Air was good. That was.
I didn't see that yet. That is one I really want to see.
That was really good.
I feel like Air also has appeal because I think it was one of those kind of movies that appeals to someone like you and someone like me. Like the trailer made it seem like there was enough for just about anybody to enjoy that movie.
Yeah, I mean it's just a really good movie. Like it's just it kind of is like a little bit of like a throwback for me because it's like, oh, this is a movie kind of made for adults. It's not like dumb. And
Yeah.
like,
I need to see
not
that.
a remake or a sequel. It's just like it's an original film, and I'm really glad they put it in theaters because it was an Amazon movie.
Oh,
they
I
put
didn't
it
know
in
that.
theaters, and it did pretty well.
That's awesome.
So I was happy about that.
I'm trying to think of like modern movies that have a similarly like languid pacing.
I mean, Tarantino does it really well.
Yeah,
Like,
I
he
was thinking
takes-
Reservoir Dogs was like also was one of the first ones that comes up if you Google it, but Reservoir Dogs is a good one.
I mean,
for that.
Hateful Eight especially, like everything's like wide shots, takes his time, doesn't get in a hurry, lets the scenes play out. Once Upon a Time in Hollywood, it's very similar. Like and Scorsese does it really well. Nolan's very more interested in timelines and editing and like juxtaposing like different, like Dunkirk. Tarantino was funny. He watched Dunkirk and he was like, I didn't get it until like the third time. Because he's like the whole time he's like, you don't know it, but he's he's editing 2 different timelines simultaneously.
Yeah.
You don't really get it until the very end, and it's like this big moment, and it's like I was like, holy,
I guess
got
like No
played.
Country for Old Men also is
Yeah,
got
it's a
that
great movie.
same like languid pacing and then it explodes.
and that's an interesting one because there's like no score.
Mm-mm.
Like there's
It's
like
just-
1 or 2 pieces of
I haven't
music.
That's
seen
one
any
of
of those
Joe's
movies
favorite
you're talking
movies.
about.
I have the same like I had the same thing I kind of had with this, where it's like it's hard for me to get into it because it's hard to maintain focus that long,
Right.
unless I'm just in the mood to like really absorb. That's like if I'm going to absorb a movie like this, I have to have no distractions. The lights have to be off.
You need to
and
see it in the
like,
theaters.
Yeah.
Basically, yes. It needs to be an event of going to go see the
Yeah.
thing, and then I will love it. But if I'm trying to like watch it in my house with access to my phone and like
Right.
it's too easy.
And
to
we've talked about that, I think, recently on the podcast. Is I like going to the movies to see movies,
It's the best place to see a movie.
and I
It
think
always will be.
And I think it was Josh that said it's probably because I have no distractions and, things like that. And it's just like you're sitting there in front of a big screen that's showing the movie. What else are you going to do?
Yeah.
So, I mean, unless you're just rude and play on your phone the whole time. But
Oh, I hate that.
I'm not
I
that.
hate these people.
Then you
Yeah.
get your phone thrown out.
Yeah, should.
Midsummer.
Also, your children, if they
Yes.
cry through the whole thing and it's an adult movie, they should be thrown out.
I agree.
Yes.
Yeah. This is why I like Alamo Drafthouse because if they catch you on your phone, like you're
That's
out.
That was
awesome.
we used to do that at the Nickelodeon because we had to actually sit in the
You worked at Nickelodeon?
not
A
the,
Nickelodeon.
It's,
It's like
a
a-
Nickelodeon. It's a kind of theater.
It's a-
Oh,
I
I was like, shut up. I never knew that.
I was too.
she was the one that pulled the bucket.
So
People.
Nickelodeon, both the name for
Slobber.
the channel and for theaters in general. So it used to cost so Odeon is
Nickel.
theater. It used to cost a nickel.
Yeah.
So I used to work at an art house theater that was called the Nickelodeon because it was a
I see.
revamped 1920s theater that like
That's cool.
it
Yeah.
was not a nickel. I think it was like $5 for most of our tickets, which
It's
was
like
still
nowadays
a good
nickel.
deal.
That's not bad.
Yeah, that's not bad.
That's what I say. Nowadays, nickel.
Yeah. And we got like art house films and stuff. So we would, when we would start the show, you had to go to the projection booth to actually start the show on the, there wasn't always a projector. Sometimes it was the tape or the disc that they give you now. But we still like manually started the show and we would watch from up there. And if we saw people's phones light up, we would go and tell them, you need to put that away or you need to get out. Because we could see,
I appreciate
where
that.
everybody was.
Yeah.
Because it's distracting if the
And it's
person in
rude
front
to
of
the
you
other
has
people.
a super bright screen,
Right.
like that's lighting up while you're trying to like watch a movie. Like
Yeah.
it's a lot. It's the same thing with people, and I get like wanting to like record a concert, but like I hate going to
Oh
a
my
concert
gosh.
It's
and
so annoying.
everybody's like phone is up in the way.
Like, what's wrong with just experience? Like just
I know, I
staying
will
there and
say-
watching with
I'll
your
take a
freaking
photo
eyes.
or something real quick or something, but like I don't need to video
Yeah.
the whole
They're
thing.
never going to watch those videos again either.
No, they're
It's
So-
gonna look and sound awful.
So I
Yeah.
think
Just
when
experience it.
you're like at a concert, I do find that very annoying. However, most concerts I've seen are on YouTube from people taking those videos. So I am also a consumer of watching videos that people take while they're at concerts, but in person, I find it very
I
annoying.
find it frustrating. But yeah, no, I like with it, when it's a movie that is meant to be like high art, I think there's some, and especially if the pacing's going to be languid, I feel the same way about like The Lighthouse and Midsummer kind of fall in the same thing too. It's
Yeah.
like if there are distractions, I'm going to lose focus on this and it's not going to be as arresting as
Yeah.
this.
Yeah.
The Witch is also very slow pace.
It is.
It
There have been a
is.
couple horror movies lately that have slow pacing with big notes and moments.
Mhm.
Yeah, this
But-
is still one of the. This is one of the few that are left on my bucket list to watch in a theater.
What?
Once Upon a Time in the West.
Oh, they probably
Oh,
do
yeah.
that flashback cinema with it.
Oh, I would.
You
I'd love
probably-
to see this on 35 millimeter.
You could probably
but-
just
Rent it out.
rent it out.
They do
That
that
too.
It might be a
these days,
birthday
too.
thing.
Watch
Maybe
it
I'll do
on,
this year.
But getting back to our movies, Once Upon a Time in the West, or Once Upon a Time in what? Did I say that?
The West.
Once Upon a Time in the West.
In the West. I said a West. So I mean, overall, it's a good movie for people that would like that kind of movie.
People that
There you
like
go.
good movies.
Yeah, basically. For someone that really looks past and just doesn't consume, I think this is a great movie.
Oh, this is one of the things I love. What Leone would do. So Morricone, the composer, composed the score to the screenplay. The plot was changed to fit his score. That doesn't happen.
No.
That's amazing.
The farmhouse location turns up in Raiders of the Lost Ark as Marion's Bar in Nepal.
Yeah.
That's kind of cool.
That's neat.
I think it's neat to see things like that. Like you, with Romy and Michelle, you mentioned the shirt that was also in Scream, or this location that's also in another movie. I think that's neat to see that and see the way they change it a little bit, or, you know, it's just neat that they reuse. I know it's probably like for cost cutting to reuse stages and things like that, but I always like that.
I mean, they just don't make them like that anymore. They didn't really make them like that then.
I didn't know that he
all
was.
movies
Movie,
in general.
like
I was just looking, and I didn't know that Leone was the second unit director on Ben-Hur.
yeah, because they shot a good bit of that in Italy, I think.
A bunch
It might
of
have been where they had the Coliseum. They might have filmed it there. But yeah, I mean, and he had made the Dollars trilogy, and this was kind of like his
big
magnum opus, I think.
Yeah.
I mean, he did Once Upon a Time in America later, which with De Niro and James Woods and Joe Pesci, and it's a gangster film. It's like 4 hours long. It's amazing.
Oh,
So
yeah.
good.
That sounds brutal.
It's a terrific film. Like it's similar to it's very similar to this, in that it's very poetic and
and long.
it's long. I mean, you can break it up.
Yeah.
It jumps back and forth in time a lot.
So did they
I
did Joe Pesci and De Niro exclusively do gangster movies together?
They just happen to be in them. Like Joe Pesci, De Niro is like the main character.
Yeah.
In Once Upon a Time in
Because
America.
they also did Goodfellas with the
And
two
then
of them and Ray
Raging,
Liotta.
Raging Bull isn't gangster movie, but they were
Yes,
in
that's
that.
true.
But no, I don't know. It's probably like, De Niro worked with Pesci and Raging Bull, and he's like, yeah, I think he'd be great for this. But like
They're
Treat
great
Williams
together.
is great. Jennifer Connelly, it was like her first movie, I think. Pre-Labyrinth, still haven't seen.
I have not. I just was reading here that the role of harmonica was actually offered to Clint Eastwood, where we were talking about the difference between Clint and Charles Bronson earlier. And he turned it down because he was no longer interested in working with Leone. And I'm really glad he did. Like, I think that was perfect. And also, on the flip side, Charles Bronson had previously turned down Fistful of Dollars for a few dollars more, and Good, Bad, and Ugly.
When we do watch Once Upon a Time in Hollywood, there'd be a lot to talk about.
Yeah.
As far as because that movie's kind of based in part on like Charles Bronson or Clint Eastwood. Like they were TV stars, and then they got offered to go over to Italy to make some spaghetti westerns or some kind of knockoff James Bond kind of like spy movies in Italy. And then they came back and they're big stars. Like those movies made them stars,
Right.
And so it's similar to what this is
actually
a
happened.
part of like what really happened.
Yeah.
That's where
Well,
it's like the drawing for the name, right? It's like, you know.
Yeah.
Well, I just think, I mean, for this movie, it ended up being great that
I
Clint
can't.
dropped out and Charles finally said yes.
Yeah, because I can't imagine Clint Eastwood in this.
No.
I mean, because
Bronson just has that, like we talked about, that perfect face to be somebody that just mainly talks through harmonica and tells their story with their eyes.
And like, his main goal is revenge. Like he wants to kill the man that killed his brother, and that's not the man with no name who Eastwood was. Like it's not. They're not revenge films. They're just everyone's kind of scraping back and forth to like in Good, the Bad, and the Ugly to get to the treasure.
Right.
It's not a personal vendetta, and Bronson's face just works for that.
But
clearly because he did.
That's what I was going to say.
All the 48 death wishes and all the other ones that are basically Death Wish.
Yeah.
So
But with a different name.
this is a really good fun fact. Sergio Leone likes to tell the story of a cinema in Paris where the film ran uninterrupted for 2 years. When he was at the theater, he found himself surrounded by fans who wanted autographed, as well as the projectionist, who was less than enthusiastic. The projectionist told him, "I'll kill you." The same movie over and over for 2 years, and it's so slow.
I'm the
That's like anything. Even if I
Just
love
then
this
you had
movie.
to sit and watch them as the film ran through.
Right.
Like,
That's what it's like to make the movie, though.
Yeah.
Like you have to watch it over and over. Like you're watching this scene or this shot for days.
Yeah, that's what it's like to make this podcast.
That's what I was going to
too.
say. That's what I feel bad about for Toby. Like, she has to listen to my voice over and over.
The same section 19 times,
Yeah.
usually.
Well, I'm glad that you at least see the value, even if you don't like it. That means a lot to me.
Yeah, I think you're slowly teaching me things, I guess.
Good.
Ryan, this was a teachable moment, as Sophie
Yeah.
would say.
But I think it was neat having these two movies that were totally opposite.
Completely.
And
You might say real opposites.
Jordan's coming on the podcast.
yeah, he's now just going to be hired as Zinger.
We just need you here for singers.
But and just to see something that you really love and something that you really love and the difference in them, and
Yeah.
that's what we do here. But it was fun. Well, I guess then that will bring us to the end of the discussion about the movies for this week, which were Romy and Michelle's
High school reunion.
High School Reunion and Once Upon a Time in
The West.
the West. I want to thank Jordan for joining us this time. It was really fun having you on the podcast, and hopefully
Thanks,
you've
I had
enjoyed
fun
it.
too. Yes.
And you can come back again sometime.
You know where to find me.
Yeah,
Just a few steps to the right.
very
And
true.
jump to the left.
Oh,
And cha-cha real smooth.
he is a dance instructor.
I am a freestyle dance
That's
instructor.
true. So I guess now we need to pick movies for next time. Next time we have summer reading going on, which you probably heard about in the announcements, I'm going to assume. But we have summer reading going on, and the themes for this summer is cryptids and West Virginia history for the adults. And it's called Weird and Wonderful West Virginia.
Yes.
And the theme for the youth is space,
Reading Rocket.
and it's the Reading Rocket. So we're going to do this summer, we're going to do 2 themed episodes, and our next episode is going to be the space themed episode. So we both have to pick space movies. I've learned I love space. I have since I was a kid. I was in Young Astronauts, blah, blah, blah. I love space.
I need pictures.
We just wore our regular clothes. It was just a school club.
I know, but I don't know.
You still need pictures? I'll see what I can find. There's probably one from COSI, actually.
I love COSI.
Or WonderWorks. One of those had COSI's amazing.
It is.
But I did learn that even though I love space, I was looking through lists last night of all space movies ever in existence, and I have seen literally maybe 3. So this was rough for me.
Wow.
Because I had to come to the realization that for some reason, I guess it's because I don't watch movies. There's so many space movies out there that I didn't even realize it. I need to watch those. But I did come across one that I think would be probably my favorite space movie. And I'm sure you've seen it, but we're still going to go with it. And I have chosen Mars Attacks.
Oh, yeah. All right.
I saw Mars Attacks in the theater.
Oh, that's awesome. I want to see it
Came
in
out in
theaters.
'96. Okay, I watched it, and it's probably been maybe 4 or 5 years. since
Yeah,
I watched
that's
it.
about how long since I've watched it.
It's okay.
So I'm hoping it holds up and I still like it. But literally, it was like Mars Attacks, Galaxy Quest. I've seen most of. I can't even remember if I've seen all of it.
Oh yeah,
Armageddon, and Toy Story if you count Buzz Lightyear.
We don't.
We don't.
The toy is not from space.
But there's scenes where he battles Zorg in space.
In Toy Story 2,
I don't know.
opening a Toy Story.
One of them. They're all one movie to me.
No, I'm fine with Mars Attacks because
Okay.
I'll allow it.
Well.
Also, Jim Brown recently.
Also,
passed
not
away.
really your decision.
You don't really get a choice. You'll be watching
Well,
Mars Attacks.
Jim Brown passed away, so it'd be nice to watch a movie with him again.
Yeah, that's
But,
what Todd actually said too.
All right, Mars Attacks.
Yeah.
So I'm going to not have you watch 2001: A Space Odyssey.
Okay, that's good because that sounds
I
long.
gave you one very slow, methodical film.
Mhm.
So we're gonna have you watch Starship Troopers,
Okay.
which I think you will probably like because you liked RoboCop,
Mm-hmm.
you liked Showgirls,
Mm-hmm.
both Paul Verhoeven movies.
Oh, okay.
Starship
I didn't
Troopers
realize that.
is Paul Verhoeven, the movie he made after Showgirls. So after
That's interesting.
after he spent all this money on Showgirls, and they released his NC-17, and it did not do well, Sony was like, "Here, take $100 million, make a space Nazi movie
Nice.
with giant bugs," and that's what he did.
Okay.
And it's awesome.
Before we even get into it, I want to point out that Starship Troopers was originally bug squashing at Outpost 9 or whatever, was the name of the script. And then the Starship Troopers book was like
Optioned.
very fascist and got optioned. And so they smushed them together and it's
It's perfect.
That's
perfect.
funny.
This is
Okay.
so good.
I think you'll like it.
Okay.
I'm curious to hear your thoughts.
So it's like funny, a parody.
funny.
kind of-
Funny parody satire.
Okay.
Like, but like still like the monsters and everything is like
It's got
it's
a
still him
young,
with like $100 million budget, and it looks like the effects are still better than most movies now. Like they're
Okay.
really incredible.
That sounds interesting.
it's got a young Neil Patrick Harris.
Yeah.
It's got
Doogie Howser, Nazi MD.
it's got Denise Richards. It's not that
Okay.
that's a selling point really. 'Cause she's
I
not
mean,
a
those
great
are-
actress, but she's fun.
Those are names that I know,
Yeah.
which is usually a selling point
Clancy
for me.
Brown.
It's got Michael Ironsides in it.
Yeah.
I don't know who that is, but that's a cool last name.
It's
It
got
is.
I'm going to
it's a
change my last
Canadian
name.
actor. It's got the uncle or the brother from Breaking Bad.
There's a
Brother-in-law.
brother in it. Oh. The cop.
Yeah, the cop. Yeah.
FD or
Yeah, he's one of the like admirals or
Yeah, he's in it.
whatever.
okay.
It's a good one.
I mean, that sounds like
Yeah,
possibly something I like.
I think you'll like it.
I've watched this like 2 times this month already, so
Jesus.
I'll go for a third.
Oh wow.
I mean, it's very much in the vein of like RoboCop.
RoboCop was one that I really liked, and I actually picked up on all the references too,
Yeah.
because they were kind of easy, but not
It's not
like you could miss them. But
Paul Verhoeven is not subtle.
yeah, I like that.
Yeah. All right, so that'll be our episode next time.
Yeah.
In a couple weeks.
So come back, watch those movies. Of course, we always think you should watch those movies if you're going to come back and listen, because you'll know what we're talking about.
But you don't
And we
have to
wouldn't
watch the
spoil it.
movies. You can just come and enjoy the spoilers if you want to.
Yeah, I mean, if you just love my voice and just want to hear it again,
We're just a modern day movie trailer. We're gonna spoil the whole thing for you.
exactly. All the good stuff happens here.
Yeah.
So that's it for us this time. So until next time, I'm Aaron,
I'm Josh.
and this has been The Real Opposites.